The weekend was all about the Scotland national team, and to be honest, the next few days will still all be about Steve Clarke's men, but I thought we would do a recap for the lower leagues this weekend, because there was some big results that could definitely shake up and change the championship. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Football. Massive results in the Scottish Championship this weekend. The dream team at Ross County isn't going very well, but we'll talk more about that when we get there. Normally it's a big deep dive into the lower leagues and the Championship and the Premiership. Obviously no Premiership football on this week because of the international break, so just the three leagues to focus on: League 2, League 1 and the Championship. And I didn't preview any of these games, so just a case of going through the scorelines, but we will have a bit more focus on the Championship this week since it's the biggest league that was in play. But yeah, on Saturday we had Annan Athletic 1, Edinburgh City 1. Edinburgh City, honestly, they did really good at the start of the season. It's strange because they were good to get back their minus 15 points deduction, but ever since they got onto a neutral points tally, they've kind of struggled since then, and they've not really hit the heights, and I think they'll be fine. I don't see them getting relegated, even though they are quite a few points behind. I think they'll be okay, but initially when they were having such a good run of form at the start of the season, I thought they would still make it into the playoffs, but that doesn't look like it's going to happen anymore. We've got Elgin City 2, Dumbarton 0, Stirling Albion, big defeat at home against Forfar Athletic. 744 people though showing up to watch that. That's a pretty decent attendance for a League 2 game. It's just a shame that majority of the fans that showed up had to watch their team lose 4-0 at the Forth Bank Stadium. East Kilbride picked up a 3-1 win in Stranraer, and the Spartans dropped points against Clyde. So I believe that is the second week in a row now that the Spartans have dropped points, and they have. So the Spartans were 3 in front of East Kilbride, then they beat East Kilbride. They took a 6-point lead, but they've drew their last 2 games. East Kilbride have won their last 2 games, and all of a sudden that gap at the top of the table has been cut from 6 points down to 2. So, still very open at the top there. You've got Clyde in third place, Edinburgh City at the bottom on 4 points, 8 points away from safety. So yeah, it's a pretty big gap into 8 points for safety and 14 from the playoffs. So still very close in terms of the teams in the middle. I mean, you've got 1 point separating Dumbarton down to Stirling Albion, so very close from 6th down to 9th. And the playoffs, it's close as well. You've got Clyde and Elgin City, just a point separating them in 3rd and 4th. And they're kind of falling away for the top 2, but they've got a couple of points gap over 5th place. I mean, it could go either way. Would I be surprised if Edinburgh City pulled it back and got 3rd? No, I wouldn't, but their form kind of has dipped, like I said, since they got to a neutral points tally, so they do need to improve on that. But Dumbarton as well also had a points deduction, so if you add the 15 points to Edinburgh City, they would be on 19 and Dumbarton would be on 18. So they really should be up there at the, towards the top of the table. But because of their points deductions, both Dumbarton and Edinburgh City find themselves in the bottom half. Right, let's move on to League 1 then. East Fife 1, Stenhousemuir 0, Cove Rangers 2, Hamilton Academical 1. Hamilton, again, they were on a good run of form. They got that 6 points deduction, and since then, I don't think they've won a match. So it sucks for them, and I know there's a lot of turmoil at the moment going around Hamilton, the ownership and who's running the club. I think that a lot of their higher ups have actually just walked out over the past couple of weeks. So that club is really in a mess, and it kind of has been now for a couple of years. So I hope Hamilton can get it back and whatnot. They used to be a Premiership team. I remember they were in the top flight for a number of years, and now they're stuck in League 1, and who knows if things go wrong this season, which they kind of are. Maybe they could be battling relegation, or maybe they won't even have a team. Who knows? It sucks to see that, but hopefully they can fix their problems. Kelty Hearts 1, Queen of the South 1, Peterhead 1, Montrose 1, and the league table in League 1 then. Looks like that's Inverness, Caledonian Thistle. I do believe that they will now walk away with this league. They did have a 5 points deduction as well, so technically if you add that, they would be on 31. They'd be 8 points ahead of the teams chasing them. Stenhousemuir had a great start to the season. Their form has dipped lately now as well. So again, if you look at it, it's very close at the top. I mean, a couple of wins and you could literally go from where Hamilton are in 7th right into 2nd, but I do believe that Inverness will walk away with this league now. I think they'll win it. Got superior goal difference. Although Hamilton actually have 16, so Hamilton's actually been better. The Hamilton scored 28 goals, even though their form has dipped off lately. But yeah, they'll be fine. Like, I don't think Hamilton will get relegated. Although Cove Rangers over the past couple of weeks have picked up some decent results, and they're getting themselves back into it. Maybe Montrose will be looking over their shoulder and thinking perhaps they aren't safe. They'll be looking at Kelty Hearts, Cove Rangers, and possibly believing that they can be caught. But as for Hamilton, I don't really think they've. It's their problems off the pitch that are going to be their downfall rather than what is on it. I still think Hamilton will make the playoffs. I believe that they will. I think they'll finish second. But we'll see. I mean, right now they do have concerns, so they need to try and fix them. Right, moving on to the Championship then, which is the big league. So Arbroath got a draw at Ayr. Scott Brown, it's been weird. Every time you think his Ayr United team's going to go on a run, they seem to have a setback. He just can't seem to get a good run of results. Yeah, he'll pick up a few wins, but then he'll follow up with a few poor ones. And I know Arbroath are doing well this season. I think they're sitting in third right now, but I expected Ayr United to win that. They didn't, and in fact, they relied on a Kevin Holt equaliser 3 minutes for time. So it's a point. I think it's a good point for Arbroath. Not such a good point for Scott Brown's Ayr United, though. I've seen rumours of Scott Brown going to Celtic. You just can't justify that. Getting sacked for Fleetwood Town and doing media. I mean, all right, maybe mediocre's harsh, but let's be honest, he's not doing an amazing job at Ayr United. He's probably doing an average job. He spent quite a bit of money though, so I did expect Brown and Ayr to do better. So far though, it's not happening. Right, Raith Rovers nil, Airdrieonians 3. Obviously, Raith Rovers recently sacked Barry Wilson, the guy that used to, I totally forget his name. Barry Robson, that's it. What am I getting? I think I just combined Barry Robson and Mark Wilson together and I got Barry Wilson. Yeah, so Barry Robson recently got let go from Raith Rovers. They are struggling right now. Raith Rovers nil, Airdrieonians 3. Airdrieonians, since getting rid of Danny Lennon, though, they've seemed to push on. Should have beat Partick Thistle last week, and a convincing 3-0 win this week against Raith Rovers. So, that's huge for Airdrieonians. And all of a sudden, because they did look like they were down, a few weeks ago, Airdrieonians looked like they were relegated already, but they pulled it back and they brought themselves right into contention. So, fair play to them. But Raith Rovers, they're struggling. They need something. There's talk of maybe Gordon DL going in and taking over the club on an interim basis, maybe similar to what Martin O'Neill's done at Celtic. That would be pretty cool, but at the same time, I would hate to lose Gordon DL from Super Scoreboard. That would be a massive blow, so hopefully that doesn't happen. Right, Ross County, this is the game that we need to talk about. Ross County nil, Greenock Morton 3. What the fuck is happening? First of all, big shout out to Greenock Morton and Dougie Emery. It's a massive win, an amazing win. 3-0 away from home. Nathan Shaw, Cameron McPherson and Michael Garate getting the goals. But Ross County, they've spent so much money this season. They've actually held on to quite a lot of their best players from the previous season. Ronan Hale was one that everyone believed he was just going to leave and get a Premiership club. He somehow stayed at Ross County. No one was expecting it, but he stayed there. They've spent a lot of money on transfers. They've got Tony Docherty and what's his name, Callum Davidson as their first, manager and assistant manager. How the fuck are they struggling so badly? I don't understand it. Tony Docherty, has had good success as a number 2 to Derek McInnes. Then he went to Dundee, had a really positive first season, got Dundee into the top 6. I thought it was harsh that he got fired in the second season. And then obviously Callum Davidson, double cup winner in the COVID season. What an amazing achievement that is. That will never be taken away from Callum Davidson. That should have won him Manager of the Year. Mental that he did not win that. That is the biggest achievement I think I can remember seeing, to be honest, in Scottish football. I think that's the best achievement for a manager, any manager that we've seen so far, for him to do that. A cup double with St Johnstone. That's incredible. And now they're at Ross County and they can't even get a win. I think they've got one win since they came in. It's madness, absolute madness. 3-0 defeat to Greenock Morton, shocking. And then in probably the game of the weekend, it was St Johnstone 4, Queen's Park 3. St Johnstone had a 3-0 lead. It came back to 3-2. Then Jack Baird looked like he'd won it for St Johnstone to make it 4-2. Rocco Frail pulled one back for Queen's Park, but in the end, that's all he did. All he did was pull one back, a consolation goal, and yeah, St Johnstone seen out the game, 4-3 winners, and that will keep them at the top of the table. And I think, was there a game on? No, there wasn't. So Partick Thistle, I think I've got a game in hand now. They do, yeah. So there's the league table. St Johnstone top on 34 points, 6 in front of Partick. Partick, they'll do have a game in hand. Then you've got Arbroath on 22, Ayr on 20, Dunfermline 19 with a game in hand. Then you've got Morton on 18, Raith Rovers on 18, Queen's Park 13, Ross County on 12, Airdrieonians on 11. How are Ross County only on 12 points? How are Ross County in 9th place? And Airdrieonians, who looked down and out, find themselves on 11 points. Only 1 behind Ross County, only 2 behind Queen's Park. And I mean, I know Raith Rovers are slightly further up the table, but I wouldn't be surprised if they actually get pulled into a relegation fight, because they are really struggling right now. Need to find a new manager in there. Greenock Morton, that big win moved them up into 6th. And at the top of the table, I think it will be a St Johnstone Partick Thistle 1-2 at this point, but you're gonna have a close fight for these playoff spots. Arbroath currently in 3rd. I don't think they'll stay there. I do expect. I think the top 4 will be St Johnstone, Partick, Ayr United, and Dunfermline in that order. That's probably what I would predict the top 4 to be, and I think that'll be an interesting playoffs. I mean, you look at Dunfermline, Ayr United, and Partick. It's been a while since any of them were in the Premiership, so I'd take that. I like to see fresh faces in the Premiership. I don't want to see yo-yo clubs. I personally would prefer not to see St Johnstone and Ross County go up this year, but St Johnstone are looking good, and it's going to be hard for anyone to deny them winning the Championship. But, you know, I think this season in the Premiership, it feels fresh with Falkirk and Livy going up. I do prefer when 2 teams go up, and I'm hoping we get that again this year. And I don't know who the 2 teams going down will be, but I guess we'll find that out, guys, come May. Anyway, that is it. St Johnstone top, Partick in 2nd. Airdrieonians are still bottom, but they've got a fighting chance now, and they've pulled it back, and now they're within touching distance. 1 win away for taking themselves off the bottom of the table. Potentially even a draw. Considering how bad Ross County are playing, you don't know what's going to happen in their next game. They could easily lose that 2-3, 4-0. So, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. But anyway, guys, there is your SPFL roundup. Big weekend. But let's be honest, the big game was Scotland-Greece. But an even bigger game was Denmark-Belarus, because Belarus done us a massive favour. And now we can't rely on Belarus on Tuesday. We can't rely on Greece on Tuesday. We need to rely on ourselves. And we need to get the win. And if we do, we'll be at the World Cup. And fingers crossed, guys, we can get it. Lots more videos to come over the next 24 hours in the build-up to that Scotland game. I'll catch you guys for them. Till next time, though, peace.